Right,
right.
we're back. And
Hi, Scott.
I think that we're about to hear from our buddy, Scott Kesterson. Like I call him Scotty. Let's welcome Scott Kesterson from Bards FM. It's great to
All
have you,
right.
Scott.
Hey, Dave. Thanks very much. Very proud to be here. So really appreciate you making me part of this.
Why do you think it's important that we're doing what we're doing, Scott?
Dave, you guys are leading the effort in taking care of one of the most precious asset God ever gives us, and that's the children. It's a real statement currently in our nation that we've allowed the extensive problem of child sex trafficking, child abductions, and just the list of things that it deals with the destruction of the little ones. And Christ was very clear. There's nothing more precious than the little ones. We had to have the heart of a child to go to heaven. And even those that do harm to the little ones would deserve a millstone.
Right.
We become a society that's become very numb to allowing that to happen. We turn our back on it. And what the Church of Glad Tidings is doing right now is stepping up and showing the way forward that this cannot be tolerated anymore. We have to do everything we can to save the little ones.
Yes.
Imagine the heart of God right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Scott, what do you know about the extent of the problem?
It's massive. It's worse than we have any concept. The Vatican had a whistleblower last year that stated that on the global level, there are 8 million children that go trafficked and disappear.
Wow.
I would tell you that this is far beyond just the principles of trafficking. These children are used and abused. J.J. Carroll, who was a whistleblower from the Border Patrol, who we've had on a number of times, was explaining the subculture that's currently erupting around these children that are coming across the border. We know that Homeland Security has lost 300,000 plus children across the border. None of them will ever be found again by J.J. Carroll. And what they end up being part of is they end up being abused, sexually abused. And once they die, they're passed off to a secondary market where their organs are harvested and then the bodies are discarded. This is a horrific industry. It's the darkest ever. And when you look at right now at the United States, we are currently the global leader in the consumption of child pornography and child sex. That is a real issue, and it doesn't get fixed by political issues. This is going to be fixed by a moral change in our nation, and the only way to do that is to elevate awareness, start developing places where people can witness the recovery and start getting involved. You know, I'm harsh on the church on this, and Dave, you know this, and I think you and I share this. The great American religious enterprise, as you call it, has failed here miserably. And on top of it, we're learning deeply as well how corrupt the church itself is. 60 to 70% of our current pastors in this nation deal with a porn addiction. We have less than 30% of senior pastors that believe in a biblical worldview, and less than 15% of our youth pastors that believe in a biblical worldview.
Wow.
This is all contributing to a massive problem of the degradation of God's word and the guidance of Christ. And in so doing, we are in a place right now where we're witnessing what it's like to live outside the will of God. You don't have to worry about judgment. It's here. But the beautiful thing about this, what you're doing here with this center, Peace of Heaven, and as you say so clearly, PEACE, Peace of Heaven, is we are trying to give hope back, not only to the children, but trying to reinstitute the hope in the people to get involved. I can't encourage people enough to contribute to this effort and to support what you're doing, Dave. You're right on the point of the spear here, as always, in leading a nation in the right way and leading the reformation of the church in the right way. It's a heartbreaking issue right now in our nation to witness this. And I'm, as I call it, you call it the great American religious enterprise. I have a little different description, but it matches right in.
Say it.
The skinny pulpit, the dead stone walls, and the marshmallow pew. It's not enough anymore to just go to church on Sunday or Wednesday, get your blessings, and think that you're going to be fine. Accepting Christ in our life is a duty and it's a responsibility. And it's a responsibility above all else to protect the little ones. These are God's gifts to us. We are co-creating these children with him to bring them into this world. And we have come to a place where it has become normal not only to abort or to mutilate, but to simply allow this child sex trafficking issue to move on. I began talking about child sex trafficking back in 2012 when I was working at Fort Meade. And you would have thought I had a horn growing out of my head. People absolutely would not believe the truth. But now at least we're starting to see it come to the forefront. And I will tell you, people aren't ready for the truth, and it's going to come. But I just want to state this very clearly. When you dig down deep into this, every person in this world and in this nation that's involved with anything investment in Wall Street, you're going to discover the darkest thing ever.
Yes.
All of your money is blood money, because every single bit of it in one way or another is propped up by a global trafficking industry that's worth trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
The child is worth more than drugs anymore because they can be used over and over and over, and they're used until they die. But a child can be exported out for sex hundreds, if not thousands of times. The testimonies that are coming out from the satanic ritual abuse victims, SRAs, are stunning, and they're just gut-wrenching. And this is just those that are able to escape, and that's very few. We have a chronic problem in our nation, and I don't know of any other effort right now going on in our nation to the magnitude of what you're doing, Dave. And I honor this, I bless this, and I just tell people, give to this effort, support this effort. This institution you need to build needs to be a shining hope for the nation, and it will be with God's blessing.
Thank you, Scott. We love Scott Kesterson. Yeah, let's hear it for Scott Kesterson and Bards FM. And I just want to thank you, Scott, for partnering with us. We talk about a lot of things. Of course, Scott visits here frequently, and we love Bards FM. Scott, there are two groups of people that are they tend toward different extremes. Some people think there isn't a problem, and so there's not really anything to worry about. Other people seem to think the problem is so big, there's nothing we can do about it. What's your thoughts on that? You think the problem's too big, and so we should be lulled to sleep and think maybe God can do something, but we can't? Or do you think we can end this thing, Scott?
The greatest lie in our time is that Satan is somehow greater than God.
Right.
God can do all things, creates all things, and can overcome all things. It only took 300 men, but it took just one that he directed, which was Gideon, to lead an army, which was reduced to 300, which completely toppled the army that was standing before him in the tens of thousands. And how did they fight? They blew horns and broke pots of light.
Yeah, come on, Scott.
I speak to this so much because could you imagine being the 300 men that were commissioned to say, you're going to fight this army, and not only that, then break up into smaller units and disperse with horns and pots of light. What God chose there were the men of the true heart of David, that true heart of warriors, the true heart that I have absolute faith. I have faith in all things. I have faith that we can overcome this problem, but it's going to take the few that have the courage.
Yes.
Courage is when you're sowing your riches in heaven. It has nothing to do with what's here on earth. You know, Dave, you and I share very common views, and I just want to say this in a very candid and maybe a little harsh way. This isn't an offering plate pass around. This is about saving lives for children.
Right.
This is about taking children that are stuck away. If you haven't listened to the testimonies of those that do recovery, you don't appreciate how desperate these children are.
That's true,
Children that are in the dark, being abused every day, screaming out in pain, somewhere deep inside, praying, asking, someone help me, come save me. They've been abandoned. And we are, as a culture right now, we own a massive judgment before God for what we have failed to do to protect these little ones.
Come
All I
on,
can say
Scott.
is you are helping this nation save itself in this effort. It is not a small issue. And everybody that sows into this, that ties into this, however you want to put those terms, it makes you feel comfortable in your heart. You're doing God's work. This is a time now to put into something that's so much greater than you. This is literally building God's army to take back these little, giving them a place. Another very important footnote, because I don't think people necessarily, I don't know what all has been said today, but it's an important detail. When President Trump was in office as president, starting in 2016, he lifted all the restrictions which then allowed our special operations to do whatever was needed to recover these children.
Right.
But there was no place to take them.
Yep.
Most children were turned back over to the UN, which means they were recycled.
Yes.
On a global level, that organization is Satan incarnate.
Yes.
Yep.
So this is something that's sitting in the kingdom. This is kingdom controlled, kingdom blessed, kingdom run. And by a church and a pastor that stewards that church, Pastor Dave Bryan, that literally carries the mantle of Moses to do just that.
Amen.
Thank you,
Yes.
Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
We love you, brother.
Yes.
That's Scott
Love you, Dave.
Kesterson's from
Yes.
Bards FM. If
Thank
you don't
you.
follow Scott, you should. And Scotty, we love you. You're always welcome here. This is your family away from home. You know that. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to be here and to endorse the peace of heaven. And we love you very much. Thank you.